Think about the last time you felt completely drained, not tired from working hard, not exhausted from a long day, but that specific kind of empty, where you feel like someone reached into your chest and just took something. That heavy, foggy, slightly irritable feeling that shows up after spending time around certain people. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's what almost nobody admits out loud. Most of your stress isn't coming from your workload. It's not coming from your goals being too big or your schedule being too full. Most of your stress is coming from people, specific people, the ones who leave you more depleted after every single interaction. The ones who make conversations feel like an argument you never signed up for. The ones who always need something from you but are never around when you need something back. There is a name for this dynamic, and understanding it is going to change how you spend your energy. But before we get there, I need to tell you something uncomfortable. Something I'll come back to near the end of this video that most people in this conversation never say. When I say it, you'll either get defensive or you'll recognize yourself in it. Either way, it matters. So stay with me. You probably already know at least one person like this. Maybe more. And if you're honest, you've noticed a few things they have in common. They talk more than they listen. They always have a reason why nothing is their fault. They seem to need drama, and every interaction with them ends with you feeling worse than before it started. Here's the mistake most people make. They try to fix it. They try to have the calm, rational conversation. They think if they just say the right thing in the right tone, the other person will finally understand. Stop that. Because trying to win an argument with someone who feeds on conflict is like playing chess with a pigeon. The pigeon doesn't understand the rules, doesn't care about the rules, and will just knock all the pieces off the board and strut around like it won. You can't out-logic someone who isn't using logic. The moment you engage, you've already handed them the power. The first shift: stop treating every interaction like it needs a resolution. Not every conflict deserves your response. Not every provocation deserves your reaction. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Stillness in the face of chaos is one of the most disorienting things you can give to someone who runs on drama. Their move requires your participation. When you opt out, the game collapses. Think about your energy like the battery on your phone. You start the day at full charge. Work drains it. Decisions drain it. Difficult emotions drain it. But certain people drain it at a completely disproportionate rate. 1 hour with the wrong person can take you from high to nearly empty, with nothing to show for it. No progress, no connection, no warmth. Just gone. What would happen if you stopped letting them? Not aggressively, not dramatically, just quietly, deliberately. What if you stopped offering them access to your full attention, your emotional reactions, your time, your explanations? What if you started treating your energy as something that belongs to you? The second shift: you don't have to perform availability for people who drain you. One of the most useful skills you can build is learning to spot this pattern early, before you're already depleted. Watch for a few things. Who always makes the conversation about themselves, no matter how it started? Who never takes responsibility? There's always someone else to blame. Who gets uncomfortable when things are calm and pokes until something ignites? Who leaves you feeling vaguely anxious or second-guessing yourself, even when the conversation seemed fine on the surface? These are not coincidences. These are patterns. And patterns are information. You don't have to diagnose anyone. You don't have to label them or explain your decision to anyone. You just have to notice. And then let what you notice actually change your behavior. Because noticing and doing nothing is just suffering with awareness. If any of this is landing, consider subscribing. This channel is about one thing: building a quieter, clearer, more intentional life. Not perfection. Not hustle. steady, real control over how you spend your days. Now, the actual mechanics of protection. This isn't about cutting everyone out of your life. You have coworkers. You have family, people you can't simply remove. The question isn't how to eliminate difficult people. It's how to minimize their impact on your internal state. The answer is simpler than most people expect. Boundaries without announcements. Here's what most people do when they decide to set a boundary. They announce it. They explain why. They justify it. And immediately, that becomes another argument, another negotiation, another drain. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you protect your peace. A boundary doesn't need a speech. It just needs a behavior. You stop engaging with certain topics. You keep conversations short. You stop volunteering information that will be used against you. You stop jumping to respond to every message immediately. You stop showing up emotionally for people who consistently don't show up for you. These aren't dramatic acts. They're just decisions. Quiet, consistent decisions that add up to a completely different daily experience. When you stop reacting, when you stop chasing a resolution that was never going to come, the noise gets quieter. Not because those people change, because your response to them changes, and your response is the only thing you actually control. There's a phrase that used to run my life: I just need them to understand. What I eventually had to learn, the hard way, is that some people are not going to understand. Not because they can't, but because understanding would require them to take responsibility. And that is exactly what they are built to avoid. Some conversations will never end the way you want them to. Spending your life trying to force them to is one of the most expensive things you can do with your time. The self-respect piece is where this all comes together. The moment you genuinely start holding your own standard, the moment you stop tolerating things that consistently cost you your peace, the composition of your life starts to shift. Not because you're pushing people away, but because you're simply no longer available in the way that certain dynamics require. Without that availability, they naturally reduce. You stop being the target, not dramatically, quietly. Self-respect is not something you declare, it's something you demonstrate. Every time you choose not to engage with a provocation. Every time you exit a conversation that has turned into a trap. Every time you protect an hour of your day from someone who would fill it with noise, those choices accumulate. Eventually, they define the kind of life you're living. Now, here's what I promised you at the beginning. Sometimes you are the exhausting one. Not all the time. Maybe not often. But there have been moments, if you're honest, where you were the one projecting frustration onto someone who didn't deserve it. Where you were venting past the point of usefulness. Where someone walked away from a conversation with you feeling slightly more depleted than when they arrived. This isn't a judgment. It's just true. We all do this sometimes, especially when we're running on empty, under pressure, or absorbing too much without processing it. And this is actually the most important protection you can build. Not just protecting yourself from draining people, but making sure you're not becoming one. That means sleep, consistently. An actual outlet that restores you, not just numbs you. Honesty about when you're running low, and acting on that information before you snap. When your internal state is stable, you become less reactive to difficult people. Not because they change, because you do. You can observe without absorbing. You can disengage without guilt. This is the full picture. It's not just about them. It's about you. You can't remove every difficult person from your world, but you can change what they have access to. You can change how much energy you spend on them. You can change what you allow to live rent-free in your head after the conversation ends. you can change the standard you hold for how people get to treat you. Most of your stress is not inevitable. It's a consequence of where you've been pointing your attention and what you've been tolerating. And that is something you can actually work with, starting today. One conversation you don't engage with, one provocation you let pass, one moment where you notice you're getting drained and you quietly, without drama, step back. That's the start. Over time, those small, undramatic choices become a life that feels lighter. Not perfect, not problem-free, but genuinely, unmistakably lighter. You're not broken because you've let people drain you. You just weren't given the tools. Now you have them,